WWDC just ended, and what the heck happened there?
Yes, that was probably the most disappointing WWDC because we did not have any hardware releases.
You know what that means?
I do know what that means. We did not get a redesigned MacBook Pro, which is very disappointing.
Yep, so in this video, guys, we will let you guys know why Apple did not release the new MacBooks just like everybody was expecting them to.
And also when we can realistically expect those redesigned MacBook Pros to come.
So Vadim, why are you holding that thing in your hand?
Well, about a month and a half ago, I made a video claiming that the redesigned MacBook Pros are coming at WWDC, and obviously that did not happen, and I made a bet if it didn't, that I would shave my goatee, and I'm so sad right now.
Hey, at least he didn't do Luke Miani's thing. I'm not gonna even mention it. At least he didn't say it. So, well, we're not gonna make you guys wait till the end of a video. Let's get this done before we give you guys the info you guys want to hear. All right, lean forward. Lean forward.
Should I do it?
Yes, do it. Lean forward a little bit. Hey, at least it's not your eyebrows.
Oh man. I can't believe it. How's it look?
Keep it like this for the rest of the video. How about you do that?
Let's get rid of it. Well, I'm doing it, guys. Maybe I'll be more careful next time.
Or just choosing better timing.
Yeah, not as specific.
Because those MacBooks are probably sitting there ready to be launched.
Who knows, maybe.
Just like some of the other launches that came out recently, where the packaging was made last year,
yeah.
For the actual, yeah. So that's why it's going to be interesting getting
Apple
into the
TV
reasons.
AirTags. Oh man.
Right.
Enjoy, guys. Just don't share this on Twitter. The deed is done. And now let's get into how all of this played out.
So obviously you weren't the only one that was talking about this. I mean, we were pretty certain about it. There were a ton of other speculators that were certain about it. Leaks were coming out. There were filings that we'll talk about. The biggest one was obviously John Prosser that talked about this.
He said he confirmed it.
He confirmed. He said it, but he also lost eyebrows. So we weren't just relying in our videos on his data. What else happened?
So it all started out when a few analysts were saying that we should expect it in the second half of 2021, which starts in July. And then based on what happened with the iMac, Apple revealed it at the spring-loaded event, and then they only shipped it a month later. So I figured, hey, if they did that, they could do the same thing with the MacBook Pros, reveal at WWDC, and ship it out in July. So it also kind of matched up with details we had about the M1X chip actually beginning production, and I kind of looked at the M1 chip and how long it took since the reports of production beginning and the actual event, and I matched it up almost perfectly with what could happen at WWDC. And then we had a bunch of other stuff, different analysts saying the same thing. For example, we had Daniel Ives from Wedbush Securities claim that a redesigned 14 and 16-inch MacBook Pro would be coming at WWDC. And then we also had Katie Huberty from Morgan Stanley saying that at least one new MacBook with Apple Silicon is likely at WWDC. So we had some actual legit analysts saying that it's coming. Of course, there were also a lot of other people who were looking at all the facts, all the leaks, and they agreed on this WWDC reveal. Like there was McGuire Wood, there was Luke Miani, and a lot of other people thought this redesigned MacBook Pro is coming.
And that's not really just guessing. We were looking at all the hardware that was leaked, and not just leaks where you have somebody mentioning something and people that are reputable, but also straight up hardware filings. And we had the schematics that were pulled from Apple's servers, and that was huge.
Everything.
A lot of those leaks we didn't believe until we saw that, and Apple, you know, that was real. It got pulled down later. Like we have the SD card coming back, HDMI coming back, which is insane. MagSafe coming back. So all of that was ready and done, which is crazy. And of course we had the battery ones, right? The filings?
Yeah, there's a new filing for a next-gen 16-inch MacBook Pro, and it showed up in the regulatory database right before WWDC, which usually happens right before a new product is revealed. And we even had the all the battery details in there as well, so.
That matches up perfectly for a new 16-inch.
Yeah.
So all this lined up, so what happened? Why did Apple not release new MacBooks at WWDC? And we have a few reasons why we think that happened.
Of course, one of the biggest culprits is probably the global chip shortage, with it impacting the auto space, graphics cards, all that kind of stuff. Now, at first we thought that Apple was not gonna get impacted because they have reserves from TSMC in their chips, But Apple did mention that their legacy or their older nodes are impacted. For example, that's why I think they switched out the Apple TV, the new model, to the A12 chip instead of the A10X, because the A10X is already old and the A12 is used in a couple of different Apple products, so it makes sense to just have that one chip being produced and manufactured. But of course, that's not everything that's impacting the MacBook Pros.
Yeah, we had the report come out that Apple is being impacted with their iPad Pro, specifically the mini LED version of the iPad Pro, and there's gonna be a shortage at launch. And I know I experienced that. I woke up at 5 a.m. to pre-order, and the minute that pre-orders opened, the version I wanted to buy was sold out instantly. I switched to another one, sold out. I literally had to choose a color I didn't want, a capacity I didn't want, just to order one right away. So that's how it was affecting, at least my experience with it.
And I don't know if you guys know this or not, but the 14-inch mini LED MacBook Pro has been rumored for a very long time. It's been over a year. So it seems like Apple is only gonna be redesigning and releasing that new model with the mini LED chip. So if there are shortages, it kind of makes sense why they are delaying the MacBook Pro.
So even though the M1 chip, that could be fine, they have a capacity for that, but just because they can't make enough of these MacBooks
mini LED,
in time, that is probably the biggest reason why they didn't announce it at this event.
And on top of that, we know that every other event, there is always hardware revealed, except for WWDC, where you can have just software only, like we had this year, unfortunately.
So with that, when can we realistically expect new higher powered MacBooks? We have all these great M1 chips, but just the M1, we want more performance. When is that gonna come out? Well, the first thing that could happen is Apple could literally just do a press release where they put stuff on their website, they maybe send some ahead of time, there's reviews that pop up, and we don't actually get an event. That could come, you know, anytime, possibly next month or a couple months from now. Apple has done that with iMacs, they've done that many times with MacBooks. So there is a potential, but personally, I don't think that makes a lot of sense.
Yeah, it's way too big of a deal. First redesigned MacBook Pro in years, and it's very important because it's gonna be a revolutionary product with a crazy chip. The M1X chip is what I think it's gonna be called, but it's just gonna be too big of a deal to not have an Apple event.
Yeah, this is Apple's legacy. This is history in the making. The M1 is changing the world. Windows hardcore fans are switching over buying Macs for the first time. And on top of that, mini LED, new design, ports coming back. They can't do that.
Crazy.
So what's the next most likely event, or what's the next time we can expect?
Well, if it's not now, which it didn't, then the next time is either in October or November, when they have like iPad and Mac based events. So that's a few months from now, which really sucks. That's another option, and that's probably the most likely option. But there is one more thing.
And I want to add on, like, that could happen. You know, that's probably what makes sense, fall. But we all know there's lots of rumors about a new Apple TV gaming version, a gaming console, event. Something from Apple. We have new iMacs, 30-inch iMacs or 28-inch iMacs. Also coming out.
The iPhones,
iPhones, 2 new iPads. So that's a ton of stuff to pack in just a few months. So that also, we hope that won't happen. And there's something else I think is very likely, like you were saying. What's our third option? This is the one I'm banking on the most.
So based on what happened last year, basically Apple surprised everybody and did 3 events in 3 months, which they have basically never done before. So it's a huge surprise, and that's all based on what happened with the pandemic and everything, with the lockdown, doing the online only events. So there is a chance that we might get a completely new surprise event this summer for these new M1X MacBooks.
And everybody's saying that these should be coming out summer, new MacBooks, and that makes a lot of sense because what do we have in the summer? We have people getting ready for school, students getting ready for college. Apple does their back-to-school promotion. It makes a lot more sense for MacBooks, which are super popular with students, for them to come out in the summer before the fall, get them in students' hands when they're going back to college. So personally, I think just like in October, we had a November event, Apple's One More Thing event. That was announced about 8 days before, on November 2nd, and November 10th was the actual event. There's a chance, if Apple wants to get these in students' hands, early July, an announcement coming out of the blue, and maybe a week to 2 weeks later, having another event. With these video events, it's a lot easier. People don't have to schedule flights and get ready and prep all of that. Video shot ahead of time, it could be done already. it gets live streamed, and that's it. So possibly the third time when we could see M1X MacBooks redesigned could be in July and then shipping after that. I think that makes the most sense.
Yeah, and in that case, if they actually do have one of those events, it's likely that the Mac Mini is going to show up at the same time. You know, if they have the M1X chip reveal, just give it to
we had
everything.
A lot of leaks about the Mac Mini as well.
Yep.
With MagSafe coming back.
Yeah, John Prosser had the new design leak, so. Yeah.
So that is our thoughts on why the MacBook Pros were not announced. Yeah. It's unfortunate. They seem like they stretched out. I got to give some comments on there.
Yeah,
some of the things are sitting there with photos of dogs, and like usually they fly through stuff really quick.
Yeah.
And it seems like they're just stretched out parts just for the sake of stretching it out, which is not usually like Apple.
Yes, it was definitely disappointing, especially with iPadOS 15. So many people were waiting on that.
We'll make a dedicated video giving you guys our honest thoughts on that.
Yeah.
So you guys let us know what your thoughts are on this topic. You guys can comment down below. Of course, we have great videos coming out, so if you guys want to see those, click that subscribe button above, and you can help us reach our goal of 1 million subscribers before the end of the year. That would be awesome. We have some great videos over there. This is Max.
And Vadim.
And we will see you in the next video.